I still fall into the same like psychological traps as everybody else because like I have a human brain that evolved like everybody else's. The difference might be that I get more mad when I realize that I've been duped. I'm like, whoa, I'm never going to a baseball, and it's not the squirrel's fault, you know, like it's this scalping website, but I'm just like, this whole thing is bothering me now. I know we work in marketing, but
yeah, but we don't talk bullshit.
How we doing, people? This is To the Power of X. We've got Courtney with us today. Courtney, how we doing?
doing well, a little nervous.
Yeah, well, you know, we're all friends here.
And you're very smart.
Friends here.
Thank you.
She is quite smart. In fact, that's the reason we have her on today, is to pick that very clever and genius brain of yours. You know, as marketers, I think we kind of all like know the general sort of objective of marketing is to influence people's thoughts and feelings and actions even. And so I don't know that we're necessarily dropping any like groundbreaking insights by saying that psychology is related to marketing. I think a lot of people understand that, but like what I wanted to do, and the reason that we have Courtney on here, is Courtney has a very, very extensive background in psychology, and she works with us now in marketing. And so I thought it would be really cool to do sort of like a series. And so, you know, each time that she comes on, we can sort of like drill down and all get smarter, and hopefully maybe not as smart as Courtney, but, you know.
That would be hard.
Yeah. So anyways, I figured today we could sort of just get to know Courtney a little bit, or let the people get to know Courtney a little bit. Maybe dive into some high-level topics and things that, you know, we might talk about in the future. But I think, you know, just to start, tell us a little bit about like kind of your background in psychology, and maybe even kind of like how you ended up in this crazy world of marketing.
Oh, yes. All right. So I trained as a research scientist in undergrad, and I was focused on population movements. And through doing that, I became interested in social behavior. And so after that research was wrapped up, I ended up going to grad school studying psychology and neuroscience. And I was investigating questions around what social information has high value and why. And I was using different animal models. So one of the animals was monkeys, and also dingoes and dogs. And layered on top of that was some impacts of pharmacology, which like your hormones, what roles those play in your social interactions.
What's the difference between a dingo and a dog?
Oh, there's some people that would say they're the same, but they're not. They're very similar, but in the way that like a coyote is similar to a dog is similar to a wolf. So like at some point in the distant past, they shared a common ancestor. But dingoes are, you know, not domesticated. And if you ever spend any time around them, they're like super wily. Like they can climb a 10-foot fence, for instance.
I just always think of like, have you guys ever heard like the dingo ate my baby?
Which was like, oh yeah, totally different story than we were led to believe.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, it's fake news.
It was like fake news. It goes like really deep. I dare not even report on it because it is like, it was like a whole course.
So I'm still reading from this fake news book because I thought that that couple was ostracized for making that claim. And everybody was like, no, that's crazy. That could never happen. And then I thought that they actually went back, and the evidence suggests that that is actually what happened. Like the dingo snagged their toddler.
Oh.
They were validated.
I believe so. And I don't know if it was like while they were still alive or not. I don't remember when that happened, but I think it was like the 50s or the 60s.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's just like a cultural thing. But I feel like it was like, yeah, like boy who cries wolf type of thing, where they were like, woman cries dingo.
Yeah.
But she killed it. And it was like, no. They don't. Yeah, Wiley.
Yeah.
Everybody was, it's like the dog ate my homework claim. It's like, the dog didn't eat your homework. Dingo didn't take your baby.
Yeah. But seriously,
Yeah.
everything in Australia can kill you. I mean, they have like spiders the size of your hand and stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I saw a video where we won't spend too much time talking about the scary things of Australia, but it was like this, not only was it this big, but it was like could like jump.
Oh, a
Yeah.
flying squirrel.
It was a spider, but like
Go nuts.
I don't
That's
know.
scary.
I might have been AI'd there, like fooled, but I don't know,
I
man.
don't know.
I don't know.
AI or Australia?
Ooh, that's a good game prospect.
Yeah, AI or AU.
Hey, you guys just made that.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
Back to America.
Yeah.
Funny.
so I want to get into some of the like sort of direct correlations of the research you've done and kind of marketing here in a second. But what I'm trying to do here is trying to set the stage for the rest of the series. And so like before we dive too much into the weeds, I'm curious, and the answer could be no, but like is there any like sort of core psychological mechanisms how it impacts marketing and
Yes, absolutely. I think there are so many that we could focus on a different one
yeah.
and fill an entire podcast about that.
Right.
But some of the main ones that come to mind are attention. So marketing at the end of the day is like getting eyeballs on something. And so what are the features of a communication or a visual that get somebody's attention? And not just that, but communicate that there's enough value in whatever you're trying to share with them that they're going to spend the time, when time is like the limited resource for all of us, on your message, whatever it is. And then can you persuade them to take an action?
Mhm.
So I think attention, persuasion, loss aversion. So a lot of times you'll see messaging like limited time offer or like seats going fast. And so that's designed to get you to fear missing out. Fear is a very powerful motivator. And so can be a compelling thing to use in marketing. I think that's used too much. And so then you get another thing that happens, which is a dampening of the response because you're so used to seeing it. Like not everything is really urgent. And so therefore nothing is urgent.
Yeah. Desensitization.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, there's so many. Putting like something I see very often in the sales context is if you have 3 different packages for a service that you offer, you might well, even if you didn't have 3, you would make 3 because this is the way
Yeah.
to make someone make the
You
decision.
don't want this tier down here.
Yes, so you want to show them the lower benchmark, which is like you don't want to be cheap and pick the worst option possible.
Yeah.
And then you'll have the one in the middle and it's bigger and it says most popular or like, everyone's buying this middle option.
You're an idiot if you don't get
Yes.
this one.
And then you have the high end option, which is really just like a price point validator. Like you don't really expect them to purchase this aspirational package, but it's giving justification for the midpoint price.
Interesting. Well, I'm excited to dive into kind of each of those a little bit deeper. But speaking of attention, I know that you've done research on how emotional valence affects attention. First, I would like for you to explain what emotional valence is to the people.
Yes.
I know what it is, and I'm pretty sure Kaylee knows what it is, but just so that everybody else knows what it is,
Yes.
just explain it for them. I know what it is. Just
Okay.
for the
Just
record.
sometimes a re-explanation.
Yeah. We're re-explaining.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's start there.
Okay, so you might have heard of the word valence from a chemistry class, where electrons are in these valence shells sitting around the nucleus. But essentially, valence is just a fancy word for something that has a negative aspect, a neutral, and a positive It's like a scale.
Okay.
And so emotional valence is the scale between a negative emotion, which might be fear, anxiety, threat, to a neutral, which would be like a flat expression. And then a positive valence would be happiness, love, friendship, anything affiliative.
Okay. And sort of bring it back to our focus here, can you explain maybe how that would, like, why that would matter for marketers when they're, thinking about creative or
Yeah.
messaging or stuff like that?
Yeah. So one of the things I see a lot, going back to the loss aversion topic, is fear-based tactics around getting people's attention usually, or getting them to take an action quickly. And this is where we go from persuasion into manipulation. And I know we're going to talk about that more later, but I think that if you're trying to scare people into purchasing something, then I have to take a step back and ask, like, do they really need to buy it? Or are you just tapping into their most basal part of their brain, which is the
In
amygdala?
our last episode, we were talking about like the SEO is dead tactic,
Yes.
where it's like, look at this
Fear mongering.
tombstone,
Yep.
like,
Though competition, you're afraid that if you don't take an action, you're going to be left behind. That type of language is designed to motivate people from a place of fear, which is a negative valence.
I think for some things it does make a little bit of sense with stock is running out, tickets are running out, like living in that gray area because it's the truth.
Yeah.
And so you are conveying like, hey, this is a limited time offer, but it's definitely can be overstated.
So
Into that fear realm so quick.
So even though I'm in marketing and I know about how advertising online works, I was buying tickets for a Flying Squirrels game, which is our local minor league baseball team. Go Nuts! And I shout out Nutsy and Natasha. Yeah. So I clicked the first link to buy tickets for the game, and I'm like, I see it's a sponsored link, but I don't know. I just don't think about it. Click it, open it, looking at the seats, and I'm like, man, this new stadium, they really raised the prices. Like, the tickets are like $70 each, and usually they're 20 or something.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at it, and it's like last tickets in the section. And so I'm like, shit, I guess I gotta buy this. And then I go back and I add tickets for my friends to sit there too, and it still says last tickets in the section. And I'm like, I think that this is trying to manipulate me to do this really fast before I have a chance to realize this is a scalping site.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I feel like every show that I've ever been to, I'm like the last one or two people to get tickets to every show I've ever been to.
It's amazing how that works.
It's crazy. I'm the luckiest man alive.
Don't miss your chance.
Yeah. Or if you go to put something in your cart and a clothing, whatever, it's like, there's only 2 left.
Yeah, we can't hold it.
Want this?
Yeah.
You better buy this now.
Just one more thing on the tickets too. Have you guys heard of the blue dot phenomenon?
No.
Yeah.
So it's the Ticketmaster and Ticketmaster.
Oh, don't even get started on that.
The offenders here, as well as the other scalpers. But basically, it's they sell out, right? And then, or they have this big ticket push. And then when you go day of show and you're looking on the arena, right? And everything's a blue dot. Suddenly all of those blue dots are open. Suddenly all of the scalpers have released things for sale. Suddenly those things actually didn't sell in the first place because they do that funky supply and demand algorithmic raising of prices.
Yeah.
So it's but it's leaving major tours. Post Malone canceled his summer tour.
Really?
I'm he's huge. There's a bunch of people.
Because they don't want to be affiliated with
empty stadiums.
Yes.
For a company that was using fear and price gouging tactics.
Yeah.
One of the people who would have showed up, and now the artist is this isn't really worth the bang for my buck anymore.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Well, before we move on, I'm curious. So was it a chicken and the egg type situation? Did you notice the connection of marketing is basically just applying all of this research that I've done? Or was it you fell into marketing and then you're like, oh, wait, I know how to do this?
Oh, that's such a hard question to answer because it's been so many years. But I think it was more of just a gradual dawning of realization. And when I started in marketing, I was like doing what I think a lot of marketers do, even if you don't have a psychology background, which is using your intuition
Yeah.
as a human with a brain in the world.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, that's important these days.
yes, it is important to know the difference between you and an AI is your brain. So I think it was a gradual dawning as I was in positions of evaluating like a landing page, and I was thinking about, well, what's the first thing someone's going to see? It should be a picture that includes a human being, because that is going to be attentionally salient to another human being.
Yeah.
And not putting too many items in a form, like creating that friction that's going to make someone decide this isn't worth trying to figure all this out. I'm just going to do this later, and then they might not ever come back to do it. So I think in some respects it is intuitive for a lot of people, but once you start to realize that connection, then you can leverage the decades of research that's been done in psychology to operate your marketing campaigns based off of a research-backed hypothesis instead of just like this feels right.
Yeah. So, as a untrained psychologist, or something that, well, I guess let me rephrase that. Like, just as a trained marketer, rather than the psychology aspect, where I don't have years and years of research to pull information out of, like, as connections. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know like why, or I don't know why people do things. I can see what they did and make decisions based on data, but like as marketers, where most of our strategic decisions get made based on the data that's already happened.
Yeah.
And so we can look at those numbers and say, oh, well, if we did this, then 25% more people signed up or whatever, and I can say that was good, but I can't tell you why that was good and why they made that decision, which the gap there is like, you're reactive. You're always reactive, as opposed to having theories and saying, because of what I know in psychology, I think if we do X, Y, Z, then we'll get this result. Like, is there anything that you've noticed, a marketer like myself with no psychology background, like mistakes that maybe you see commonly made, or anything that like you found you've been able to avoid because of what you do know in psychology?
Oh, I'm sure this was on the list of possible questions you gave me, but I don't remember preparing for.
I'm going off a little bit here. So
I would say
we can talk this out.
Yeah, you kind of already said it, which is that you, as a non-psychology framed marketer, you might observe an effect like, oh, when we added that CTA button at the top of the page, more people clicked through and did the conversion action. Good thing. Like, that's what we need to do. Put the CTA button at the top of the page. But is it because it's at the top of the page, or is it because it's red? Like, or is it because it says last time offer or whatever it is?
Only 2 tickets left.
Only 2 tickets left in the section.
Yeah.
And so then I think that puts you in a position of potentially making future decisions that are based off of the wrong so what that you thought you proved to yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I also want to get back to something you said a little bit earlier, which was like walking the thin line between persuasion and manipulation. I don't know about you guys, but my family, like, whenever I go to Thanksgiving or whatever, and you see more extended family and they're asking you about your job, they know I'm in digital marketing. And everybody always is like coming from a very skeptical place where they're like, oh, you do that stuff where you like get my information and like serve me ads, and that like are things that I was, they basically describe remarketing to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have experienced that.
My phone's listening to everything.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with my friends, and the next day it came up on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, that's
how it works.
That's how it works. Happens to me too. And you know what? It works on me.
Yeah.
But I bring that up just to say that, like, I think a lot of people are aware that, or they think that they're being manipulated in some way. And like I said, it does work. So, and this might be an impossible question to answer. Maybe it's easy, but like, how do you sort of try to start to define that line?
Yes. And let's call it the line between persuasion and manipulation.
Okay.
I
You can
think,
come up with a punchier name, but yeah, we'll go.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I would find you at fault if you were misrepresenting some piece of information. For example, like this dog whitening toothpaste is gonna take all the stains off your dog's teeth in a week. And that's just objectively not true.
Just a lie.
Yeah. So something that's untrue, something that has twisted the information. We had a campaign, a political campaign earlier this year, asking the voters, what was that referendum we just voted on?
Gerrymandering one?
Yes. And they were
The
one.
Yes. And I received dozens of mailers leading up to that campaign that was framing one side of that as related to a history of racism and redlining, and that the actual framing of that was actually the opposite way. If you voted for the other side of that equation, you would have been, trying to protect that viewpoint. And so that was a clear example of manipulation, right? I think that persuasion, if we think about marketing, the idea that that helps me sleep at night is that you're actually servicing a need that the person has. So if you think about it, a lot of times we're starting with their pain point, like what brought them to our client, or like why do they need this service?
Yeah.
And so they're looking for a solution to that problem regardless, and you're just serving up why your client's solution is the best match to their need. And that's persuasion, that they were going to need that anyways. The outcome is going to be good for them. It's what they were looking for. You're really going to do what you say. Like, I think if you feel uncomfortable explaining your tactics to your target customer, that's probably manipulation then.
Do you feel like with your background in psychology that like it's easier for you to sort of identify like the fall line, as we say, like before like it happens, like?
So I still, like the example I was talking about with that scalping website, I still fall into the same like psychological traps as everybody else, because like I have a human brain that evolved like everybody else's. But then
Go see baseball.
Yeah, I just wanted to see a baseball game. I think the difference might be that I get more mad when I realize that I've been duped. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm never going to a baseball, and it's not the squirrel's fault, like it's this scalping website, but I'm just like, this whole thing is bothering me now.
Yeah. I call it getting Instagrammed, like, because like you just like like when you're scrolling Instagram and we'll keep it simple, like a remarketing ad from something I was looking at, and I'm like, I'm getting Instagrammed right now because I'm gonna go buy this thing. Like, it worked, they got me, but it's not a bad thing, I guess, is the point that we're trying to make. Like, I think this is actually, it goes to like what you were saying about, are you trying to help somebody or get them the thing that they want? That's like that, and that's kind of the way that I always try and explain it to the skeptical family members that I mentioned, where it's like, okay, so the things that you're being served, would you rather it be like stuff you aren't interested in? Like, would that make you feel better?
Yeah.
Then it would just feel like you just got a bunch of junk that's all over your screen. Whereas like, oh, cool, a new fishing pole. I was just looking at fishing poles.
Yeah.
It's like, exactly.
Even if I don't need it too, I would rather the ads that I get served to be like relevant and bring me positive feelings. And if it's like something I absolutely have no interest in, then I don't want it. And when I watch sports videos on YouTube, I get the most like whack ads like AI man telling me about something about my testosterone.
Yeah.
Gross. That is
Yeah.
not what I'm here for. But like when they have the CoverGirl ads. I don't particularly care for CoverGirl, but they look good.
Yeah.
I like makeup. Sure. And so it's like I don't have I'm not like ick. I don't have I didn't give it as just ick, honestly. I don't have the ick
Right.
at them coming up. But the testosterone guys, I'm like, shut up. Get out of my face.
Two things coming to mind. One is about remarketing, and it's fluency or familiarity with a thing. So like you might have seen what fishing pole or whatever and been like, okay, interesting fishing pole. And it's like sitting in your brain, but you're not ready to take an action. But you see that fishing pole brand again, and you see it again and again. And all of a sudden you start like associating fishing poles with the brand, or that's like a thing that you start to trust more because you're like, oh, I've heard about this company.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard about it because they told you about it 7 times. So I think that remarketing is partly utilizing a psychological tactic of fluency to create trust and recall. But then I was going to say about you were talking about ads. Oh, I was going to say that it might not be something that you are necessarily looking for, but it can still be persuasion and a good solution to your problem.
Yeah.
For instance, you might be struggling with difficulty focusing, weight gain, low libido, and then you might think that maybe you have like a thyroid problem, and you're going to go to the doctor and get that sorted. But then you see an ad for HRT, and it's like, oh, do you have these symptoms? Like maybe actually you're just approaching menopause, and that's like it's time for you to deal with that stuff. So I think that it can be something that they don't necessarily know that they want or need because of awareness. So like we talk about the buyer journey, you might be addressing a client or a prospect in the awareness state where you're introducing something they haven't thought of, but it's still a legitimate solution to a need that they have.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, most marketers are trying to find the people who will best be served with whatever product or service that they're selling.
We're fighting for the good
We're fighting
side.
the good fight.
Yeah, we're the good guys.
We're the good guys.
Yeah.
Remember that. Well, before we get out of here, I'm excited for the series. I think it's going to be good, and we'll kind of dive more into some of the details, the psychology details, and kind of how it impacts what you see on your tablet or phone or desktop. I think it's connected in a lot of different ways. But before we get out of here, is there one thing you want our listeners to do differently after this conversation, or any advice that you can give people to maybe avoid the manipulations versus the persuasions?
Well, those are 2 questions. So I'll answer the first one.
Yeah. Sorry to be confusing.
It's
for you.
okay.
Yeah.
I would say the homework, if I may, would be for people to, just as they're going through life, when you are served an ad, or even if you're working on an ad for a client, a campaign, think about what are the psychological underpinnings that they're leveraging in this campaign to try to tap into my psychology to persuade my brain to do a particular thing. And that'll help you start to identify some of the tactics. And then the second question, remind me of what that was.
Just is there any advice that you might be able to give for, and I'm changing the question on the fly here because for marketers, is there anything that we can be conscious of and, to try to avoid black hat tactics or stuff like that? And then if as a consumer,
I would say for a marketer, misrepresenting information would be the line I would draw. You don't want to lie. You don't want to paint a half picture.
Or exaggerate.
Yeah, like fake reviews, obviously bad. And then I would say, as far as avoidance of getting like tricked yourself, slow down. A lot of the black hat, if we may, tactics are urgency based. And if you just slow down and you go and, it's like when you receive that email that's supposedly from your bank and it's like, click this link and someone has access. No, don't click that link. Go find it through like a different channel.
Yeah.
Take the time to make sure that you're doing the right thing.
Cool. Well, let's leave it there. This was fun. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Looking forward to next time.
Sam, thank you guys.
Awesome.
Cool.